Okay, the meeting is being recorded, so you'll have an opportunity to listen to it again later. Business. Carla, I forgot to ask you, did we get a newsletter out? I still didn't get one.
I've actually been out of the office most of the day. I had some farm visits and stuff, so I haven't looked at my email.
Okay. For some reason, I have trouble getting it, but at any rate.
Well, are Paige and Tommy on here? Did everybody else get a newsletter? I just haven't been into my email because, like I said, I've been running.
I don't see Paige or
Off
Tommy.
the hook. If anybody needs any volunteer hours, the phone's been ringing off the hook. Yeah.
At any rate, we are looking ahead to our April meeting, and we are planning on, at this particular point, we're going to do an in-person meeting. It'll be at Tranquility Gardens. That is the current plan. It is subject to change, but we'll provide more details, obviously, as it comes along. So I'm looking forward to it, and it'll be nice to see this illustrious group face to face again. We also have the last Saturday in April, we're going to have a plant sale. Hopefully you all have been gathering up stuff, or at least getting ready for your plant sale. That will be in front of the library as we've done in the past, and the plant sale will run from 8 till whenever. Last couple of times we've generally sold out fairly quickly, and it doesn't last more than 3 hours or so. Yep.
Roger.
Yes, ma'am.
We probably need to send out, I think we had a paper last year that Barbara did about the plant sale, the guidelines and such. Can we send that out again? Because we got, 36 new people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Barbara on? I'll get, do you have that paper still? Or I call Barbara and ask her.
Okay, but yeah, I mean, basically for the plant sale, you just pot up what you can and then, label it in dollar increments, 50 cents, $0.25, make it easy. Put a label on it. Scientific name is good. Names can get mixed up.
And what we'll do is what we did last year. We'll have people go around, get their plants, and Deborah will be there, and we'll just have one point where they pay for them. And David will have his trailer there. He'll have a separate thing because David will be able to take credit cards, but we'll get those details out. Also, we are planning next week, Tuesday, is that right? On the 16th?
The 16th, yes.
This is an in-person meeting at the office to work on some more planning on our Western Regional Conference in September. This will be at the Extension Office. Current guidelines allow 16 people. So if you want to do that, you need to reserve a spot with Carla if you haven't already, and we'll also be conducting the meeting via Zoom. So if you can't get there in person and you want to help with our regional meeting, please join that. And that is Tuesday, I forgot the time.
I think we set it at 5:30. I can send out a reminder.
Okay, but it's definitely Tuesday, and it'll be at the Extension Office. And like I said, only 16 people can attend the meeting in person. So if you want to do that, I guess it's first come, first serve. So
yeah.
I can't think of anything else on the business side right now. Anybody else got anything on business side?
I've got a couple project opportunities, if this would be the time to say that. And I know I need to get it typed up for you all, but I have been out running in the field this week and haven't got a lot of computer work done. But we got some tree giveaways. We had Arbor Day week ago, Friday. And that was so awesome. The Master Gardeners did so good. We had a drive-through. We gave out 11 trees to 200 people, 220 people. Catherine, she's on here tonight. Kudos. Clarksville Parks. So anyway, but we have some, I'm sorry.
There's another tree giveaway Friday the 19th at Austin P, I think. Is that what you're looking for volunteers?
Yes. 19th, on the 19th, we'll need people from 9 to 5, and it is at Pettis Park. And then Saturday, it's 9 to 1. Yeah.
And what now?
9 to 1 on Saturday at Pettis Park. In Austin P.
And that's not a tree
Right
giveaway.
behind the football field, or the baseball field. I'm sorry.
This one's not a giveaway. This time it's basically people have gone in and purchased their trees, and this will be distributing what people have ordered. So
yeah, this is kind of an intense project because yes, these are orders that people have made for the Tennessee Big Tree Planting Day with TDEC, Department of Environmental Conservation. So yeah, these are trees, they have to be sorted out, and that's what we need the volunteers to help with. They've got help from the students, but just I'll get it out, but put it on the calendar, March 19th and 20th, 19th 9 to 5 and 20th 9 to 1, and we can break that up in shifts. So okay. That's it for right now. I think that's all I've got.
and as I understand it, I think there was going to be a session at Dogwood Lane next Wednesday. Hopefully that will get posted. And in terms of our projects are kicking off. We need to do a better job posting the chairs and co-chairs, what you're doing, so we can give the volunteers an opportunity. And for anybody that needs to, that is interested in a project, when you get your newsletter, it's got a list of the current project chairs and co-chairs. It also has Julie Rhodes' phone number on there. Call and talk to them if you're interested in some particular project. With that, I can't think of anything else. We're ready to turn it over to Beverly, if you'll introduce our speaker.
Well, the speaker is Becky Fox Matthews. She is with the Middle Tennessee Daffodil Society. And if you click on the link that Carla sent you, she's written many articles on daffodils. She just is very knowledgeable, and she speaks to a lot of organizations. Becky, what else can you tell me?
Well, I was a science educator at the Adventure Science Center for 25 years, and I've been retired from that for about 5 years, and past president of the American Daffodil Society, and working with them now as a media coordinator.
So she's done a little bit of everything.
We ready to go? Get my screen here.
Yes, you should be able to share your screen.
Okay.
Thank you.
Here we go. The topic for tonight is Catch the Yellow Fever. And part of this is to remind people that daffodils aren't just yellow anymore. There are a lot of more bright colors. So I've got some brightly colored daffodils here just to start us off with. But we're going to go through some basics of these daffodils. And let's see if I can get it to advance. So why should people plant daffodils? Well, for example, we love the early spring blooms. They are very easy to grow, and one of the main reason is deer don't eat them. And I have deer coming through my yard here, and I have daffodils everywhere, and they might nip off a flower and then they spit it out on the ground. So they just don't eat the plant. The bulbs are poisonous. Every part of the plant has an irritant in it. So animals don't tend to eat daffodils, the bulbs or any part of them. So that's one of the best reasons to grow them. And I would like to say, if anybody does have a question as we're going on, you can ask it verbally, or I may see it pop up if you ask something in the chat window too. So I'm just going to go through some of these basics here. Why won't daffodils bloom? There are some reasons that can cause daffodils to stop blooming. One is that they've been down in the ground too long and that they're getting too crowded, so they can't get the nutrients they need. And if that's the case, they're just blooming less and less, then you just need to get a friend to help you dig them up and then share them, spread them out. If they're not getting enough sun, they need 6 to 8 hours of sun a day, but they're fine under deciduous trees because the leaves are off of the trees in the springtime when the daffodils need the sun. The foliage could be cut too early. If you mow down the foliage too early, 1 year it can stud them a little bit, multiple years, and you can just destroy the plant. So you should give them about 8 weeks or so after the bloom to cut the foliage down. Or when it starts to turn brown, then that's a sign that the plant has photosynthesized and is starting to shut down, so you can trim it back then. We don't advise that you braid it like Martha Stewart has said in the past, because it just keeps the photosynthesis from happening to build up the bulb for the flower for next year. Let's see, another reason that they might not bloom is it's just not a good variety for our area. In Middle Tennessee, we are in an excellent area for so many different varieties of daffodils here. And that's one reason I have so many varieties in my yard. But there are a few, and I'll try to mention those as we go through the different kinds of daffodils, the ones that are really not very good for our area. And this is a picture from Cheekwood. They have a wonderful daffodil display out there that they're increasing every year. One last reason why they might not bloom is you're feeding them too heavily. Daffodils are light feeders, and I may feed mine only every few years and use a low nitrogen fertilizer. Like for potatoes or onions, a 5-10-10 is really good. So there is a secret code to daffodils that is really helpful to know if you're looking at a catalog or anything and you're trying, or you're at a daffodil show and you're trying to figure out what you're looking at. There is a number first when you're talking about daffodils, and it will tell you the division or kind of the shape of the flower. And we'll go through the division so you'll become familiar with those. I also sent Carla a link to a little pamphlet that has all these divisions and all of these basics about daffodils in it. So you probably don't need to take notes unless you see a variety that you would really like to try to find to purchase. Then you might want to write that one's name down. After the number are some letters, usually 1 or 3, and that is telling you the colors of the petals of the daffodil. So for example, if it's just all yellow petals, then there'll just be a Y there. But if it's like this flower and it's yellow with a white halo on the petals, then the color code would be YYW for yellow, white. And after the hyphen, it's telling you the colors of the cup. So this cup from the inside out is white with a yellow rim. So you can imagine if you just see this color code of the daffodil, you can get an idea of what that flower looks like even without seeing its photograph. Okay, we're going to start with Division 1, which are trumpet daffodils. And I hope no one will get offended if I say this is daffodils that have really big cups, kind of like Dolly Parton. And the cup is long or longer than the petals. If you hold that petal up to the cup of the daffodil, the cup is longer than the petal. And with these Division 1 daffodils, there is 1 bloom per stem. Division 2, I'm going to show you a few Division 1 photographs, and then we'll go to Division 2. This is Mount Hood. It is a really nice daffodil. All of these I'm going to show you. I'll tell you if they're not a good daffodil for Middle Tennessee. This is also a historic daffodil. You can see it's a Division 1. It's a trumpet, and it's all white. And I put the season of bloom. So you might like things that bloom early, mid-season, and late. And it's also historic, means that it was known about before 1940. So we can have a section in the shows for historics where they're not competing with the modern cultivars, but they do have this charm and grace all their own. So we love seeing the historics in the shows. This is another Division I daffodil, and it is a mid-season flower called Bravoure, and it is a Worcester winner. If you see Worcester next to a photograph, that means it has been given an award by the American Daffodil Society, that it does great in gardens over almost all of the United States. And so all these Worcester winners would be great here too. This is one of the newer Division I daffodils called Pink Silk, and you can see some of these beautiful pink colors that we're getting now. And this is a panel winner. If it says panel, that means it has been given an award because it wins so many blue ribbons in shows. So these are all some Division I daffodils. And now we go to Division II, which are large cup daffodils. And someone, when I was giving the talk, said, oh, that must be like Marilyn Monroe. So I said, okay, I'll use Marilyn Monroe for the large cups. The cup length is more than a third of, but less than equal to the length of the petal. So there's still a pretty big cup, but the cup is not longer than the petals. This is a real good one called Accent, and it is mid-season to late, and also a Worcester Good Garden daffodil. This is a very good one, Ceylon, also a Worcester winner, early to mid-season with very nice bright color. This is one I love called Fragrant Rose. And when these first open up, that cup is not pink. It gradually, most of the pink daffodils gradually develop that color. So you get to watch them change over time as they color up. And for Fragrant Rose, for some people, the scent smells like a rose, and some people don't smell it at all. And for some people, it smells like dirty socks. If you get it, I hope it smells like a rose for you. Division III are the small cup daffodils, and this would be like Twiggy or maybe me, and the cup length is not more than a third of the length of the petals. All these Division I, II, and III, these are probably some of the more common daffodils that you see, as well as Division IV, which we'll get to next, but here are a few Division III daffodils. Barrett Browning, another great Worcester winner for Middle Tennessee and all over the states. Dallas, beautiful white one with a little green eye. You can see that color code from the inside of the cup out is green, white, white, which means the cup has a green eye and blooms late. So it's fun to have early, middle, and late blooming daffodils. People are always surprised that I still have daffodils, or that I have already a lot of daffodils blooming in my yard, because some years I try to get early and late ones to fill out the season. This is a newer one called Dina, and look at that gorgeous pink color. And this is a new one that you'll start seeing more things that look like this that are greenish daffodils. And I'm going to show you at the very end the green species that has been used to hybridize these daffodils. But you can see that the petals have a greenish cast and the cup has a really green eye. These greenish daffodils also last a very long time in the garden or cut in a vase. So I think they're going to be great for gardeners, and they're also going to be beautiful for floral designs and for florists. Now, Division IV double daffodils. At first I thought, well, we're done with the cup sizes. This was nothing to do with cup sizes, but you know, there's a Division IV double daffodil called a stuffed cup. So double daffodils can have a clustered cup and clustered petals, layers for both of those, or the doubling can just be in the cup or just in the petals. And there can be one or more flowers per stem. And we see a lot of these doubles around too. This is a really neat one. This is a stuffed cup. If you look at that one in the kind of the middle bottom, you can see that all the doubling is inside the cup, and that the petals are just like they always are, a single layer. And this one's called Candy Princess. Again, these are gorgeous in floral arrangements and vases. Cheerfulness, a lot of these are fragrant. I'm not necessarily telling you, but Cheerfulness is a very fragrant little daffodil, multiple heads per stem, and it is also a historic. This is Tahiti. You can even find this one in the box stores almost every year, and it's a great doer, Worcester winner, and just a nice big double daffodil with good color. One more called My Story, to show you a full double with white and pink petals. Now, Division V, these divisions are kind of different now. Now we're looking at characteristics of a original wild daffodil, an original wild species of daffodil. So if you look at the little picture over to the right, that's a photograph of Narcissus triandrus. And when you see them written like that, in period, and then small letters, usually italicized, that means it's not a cultivar, it's not a named daffodil, it's an original wild daffodil. And so the Division 5 daffodils, they are hybrids, they are named daffodils, but they have characteristics of that wild Narcissus triandrus. And those characteristics are that the blooms hang down like bells, and each stem carries one or more blooms. These are much smaller daffodils and are very nice for like rock gardens and raised beds. This one is Thalia. It's a Worcester winter, also is a historic daffodil. You can see how graceful these are. Katie Heath. And you can see the couple of daffodils over there, the couple of florets over on the right that are still yellow. They will change to pink, so it's gradually over time. And this is a miniature daffodil. So in every division, there are miniatures. And so if you don't have much space, you can have a beautiful bed of miniature daffodils and squeeze in a lot of different varieties there. And this is one called Huera, and it is a Worcester winter, a historic, and a miniature. Beautiful little thing. Division 6 have characteristics of the wild Cyclaminius daffodil. And if you look at that daffodil, the Cyclaminius species, it's kind of hard to tell whether it's coming or going. The cup is looking down and the petals are looking up, is almost a reflection of the cup. And that's how the Cyclaminius species look like. And so the hybrids tend to have that windswept characteristic and one bloom per stem. This is a well-known one called Jetfire. It's not miniature, but it's a smallish daffodil. And again, most Cyclaminius are smaller daffodils than those divisions 1 through 4. Rapture, oh, this is a great one. It's a Worcester and a panel winner. It is so good that the judges hate it. And I'm kind of kidding there, but we do kind of, oh, you know, is it going to get best in show again? Almost every Rapture just grows perfectly looking. This is another Cyclaminius with color that we haven't seen before, Orange Comet. So it's got a really bright orange cup and it's still got those windswept petals. Division 7, these are Jonquilla hybrids. Now there's that picture of the Jonquilla species. And in Middle Tennessee, I've heard people call these sweeties or perfume bottles or cologne bottles because they're so sweetly fragrant. They're wonderful. I get Jonquilla species and cultivars from everywhere I can because to have some of them in a bouquet of flowers, it's always going to smell wonderfully. The foliage is very narrow and reed-like, and each stem has one or more fragrant flowers with flattish petals. So here's some Jonquilla cultivars, some named ones: Intrigue, a late blooming one, and a Worcester winter. Sweetness, which is a mid-sized one, very nice, bright yellow daffodil, sweet fragrance, and is a historic. And again, showing the new pink colors coming in. Blushing Lady, a late blooming Jonquilla hybrid daffodil. We're to Division 8, which are Tazettas. Now, you may be more common with Tazettas as ones that you force in the wintertime. Paper whites are all Tazettas that don't need a cold season. So you can get the bulbs and just put them in water or dirt and have them bloom. But there's a picture of one of the Tazetta species down there. And these we're looking at are Tazetta hybrids. They have very broad foliage and the stem is usually very thick because it can have a lot of blooms on one stem. This is a great one from Middle Tennessee called Falconet, and it is also a Worcester winter. And I will tell you that this is the division where you have to be careful what Division 8 daffodil you purchase, because a lot of these do not do well in Middle Tennessee. A lot of them just, we call it blast. The bud, instead of opening up into a flower, it just shrivels and turns brown with our flip-flopping springtime weather. But this one is a great one. One that I did plant called Avalanche I'll get a bloom like maybe once every 10 years with that. So that is not a good one for Middle Tennessee. But here's another one that is good. Geranium. It has a little bit larger florets and not as many on a stem, but it's still a very nice fragrant. A lot of the zettas are also fragrant, though I think some of the paper whites are so fragrant, they're just downright stinky. This is this is my favorite one for forcing, Grand Sol d'Or. And I order it mail order every year because I don't ever see it locally. But it is one that you can force in the winter in water or in soil. And it is not hardy here, so it won't last if you plant it outside. You just force it and enjoy it that one time, and then put the bulbs on your compost pile. But this one has sweet scent and has this gorgeous color. So this is my favorite one for winter forcing. We're to Division 9, which are the poet daffodils. And you're looking at the Poeticus species there. So the characteristics are extremely white petals with a small crinkled cup, commonly yellow with a green center, a green eye, and a red or orange rim. And they're usually one fragrant flower per stem. So this is another group that is almost all fragrant. Now, any daffodil can be fragrant in any division. You just have to sniff them to find out, or have a list of fragrant daffodils. I've been working on one of those for people who really want to know. This is a historic Poeticus hybrid called Ectea, and that's also a Worcester winter, so grows well in the garden. A little newer one, Dulcimer. You see with the newer varieties, you see more overlap of the petals and just the brighter colors and maybe smoother form, more symmetrical. And a lot of poets bloom very late, and this is one that does. So they can extend your time of having flowers. And this is one of the newer ones called Poetry in Motion. And this is maybe one of the few I'm going to show you that I'm not sure if it's commercially available right now, or if it is, it may be coming from overseas. But most of the ones I'm showing you are very readily available and very affordable. I just wanted to show you some of the newest and greatest ones too, and I think this one's just gorgeous. Division 10, when I first saw a bulbocodium daffodil, I said, oh no, that cannot be a daffodil. If you look at that little pot of daffodils, it just looks so completely different. It's mainly cup with very little petals. And in fact, their nickname is hoop petticoat because the cup looks like the old hoop skirts. And each stem usually carries one flower, but a bulb can shoot out more than one flower quite often. And these actually grow well outside, but as you can imagine, this plant is probably about 3 or 4 inches tall. So you can actually perennialize them in your lawn, or you can grow them in beds, but they're going to be very small. And almost all of the bulbocodium daffodils are miniature. This is one called Sparrow, and it is a white one. It opens up a little bit yellowish, but will fade to all white. And you can see the tiny petals and the big cup. This is one called White Petticoat, very pretty little thing. And now Vision 11, we've only got a couple more to go. Now the tale goes that there was a Dutch hybridizer and he planted a pair of scissors with a bulb, and this is what turned up. It was really though just a mutant in his daffodil field, that a daffodil came up where the cup was split at least a half of its length, and usually these cups lie flat against the petals, and often one flower per stem, but sometimes more. So here are a few of these really odd Division 11 split cupped daffodils. This is one called Tripartite. I really like it a lot. It's a little small, but there's a cluster of florets. You can see these mostly have 3 clusters per stem, and it's also a Worcester winter. This is a beautiful pink one called Triangelus, mid-season split cup. And this is Tom Terrific with its bright colors, another mid-season split cup daffodil. Now, there's always some oddballs, so that's what Division 12 is for. Unique daffodils that don't fit in the first 11 divisions. So a few of them, you may know this one, Tete-a-Tete. It's a Worcester winter and a miniature, and it is the most widely grown daffodil in the world right now, because this is the one you often see potted in grocery stores for sale around Christmas and different, and even in springtime. And it's just such a good little doer. Most of the time when you pot bulbs up, it puts them back a little bit, and they may need to recover a year in the garden before they will bloom again. But this is such a strong little thing. Not only will it bloom like crazy, but you can take the daffodils after they bloomed in the pot and put them out in the garden, and I bet you anything they will bloom the next year. Called tete-a-tete because sometimes it blooms two-headed, two little florets on a stem. Now, this is one of those other green daffodils I was telling you about that is still very unusual. They are available, but they're not as inexpensive as most daffodils you'll find. Mesa Verde. It was bred with this green species of daffodil, and it blooms, and its color code is green, 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 yellow. You can see the yellow ring around that green cup. And there's another thing that's happening with daffodils is that hybridizers are using some fall blooming species and are coming up with some fall blooming hybrids. And this is one that is already available. It's pretty hardy in Middle Tennessee. I've had it come back for years here. It's a Tequila Sunrise group. So it's a very unusual one. And as time goes on, we'll see more and more fall blooming daffodils. But again, kind of like some of those Rosettas, a lot of these are not hardy in Middle Tennessee, so we would have to grow them in pots. The last division is 13, and these are the wild daffodils, the species, including where wild different daffodils have crossed. Those are all in this division. So this is one that you may see a lot in Middle Tennessee. It's called Narcissus pseudonarcissus. Not called that because it's not a daffodil, but because before this, all the wild daffodils that had been found had little tiny cups, and this one had a big cup. In fact, this one is the one that all of our modern daffodils have been hybridized and had gotten the big cup from this little species. You see this a lot around old homesteads. Sometimes they're a little bit more bicolor. The petals may be a little whiter than this. Sometimes the whole daffodil is bright yellow, but they kind of look down and have that kind of hang head look. And they're only about 5 inches or so tall, so they're kind of small as well. Here's another species. This is that jonquilla species that I would tell you that you may see around old cemeteries and old homesteads. Sometimes they're tiny little florets, but oh, so wonderfully fragrant. This is another one, Fernandesii cordobensis. And this is another, it's a kind of a relative of the jonquils, but with a real little scalloped cup. And these are, again, very fragrant, and just all these do really well in Middle Tennessee. They just clump up like crazy. And I'm seeing these and jonquillas in some places now for about $1 a bulb. So they are readily available to add to your garden if you don't have them already. This is another one that I love. It's a species, a cross species called Adoris, but it's also nicknamed as Campernelli. And if you look at the picture up in the upper right, that shows a close-up of one of the flowers. And a dead giveaway, if you're looking at this flower, is it may have multiple florets on a stem. And that first one may have 6 petals, but the second one to open up probably will have 5 petals, and the third one's going to have 4 petals. Daffodil should have 6 petals, but Campernelli is an old one that just doesn't follow that rule. And this is the one I was going to show you last, Narcissus viridiflorus. This is a fall blooming, non-hardy for us daffodil. All daffodils originally came from the Pyrenees Mountains and areas in Europe, from Spain, from Italy, from even all the way, through England and all the way down to Morocco. So they came from all these countries in different altitudes. So they all, bloom in different conditions. But this one bloomed in an area that was warmer than Middle Tennessee. We can't bloom it outdoor here. We have to grow it in a pot if we bloom it, but it does bloom in the fall. So by crossing this with modern daffodils, this is how they're coming up with those beautiful greenish daffodils that have a very long vase and garden life. I just wanted to introduce you to a couple of little resources. This is one of the most popular resources of the American Daffodil Society, daffseek.org, DAFFSEEK. And if you get that pamphlet that Carla's going to send out the link for, you'll have these links on there. But you can type in the name of a daffodil, like I typed in the name Mesa Verde, and you can see all the information that came up. And if I were to click on that pedigree chart, I would see the genealogy of this daffodil, if it's known, and it is known if it's got a symbol there. So you can see what was hybridized to get this one and what they were hybridized from, and go back to the original species on some of these daffodils. So it's just a font of information, and you can click on those photos down at the bottom to see them larger. This is a good resource if you're thinking about buying a daffodil, to see how it looks in different locations, because these photographs are sent in by people from all over the world. And it's just a great resource to spend a little time looking at flowers. So hopefully the Middle Tennessee Daffodil Society will be resuming our meetings this fall. We usually have an October fall meeting and bulb swap, and you don't have to bring bulbs to get bulbs. So people who have dug that year will bring bulbs to share, and usually we have a lot to share. And everybody gets bulbs, goes home with lots of bulbs. And then we have a spring meeting at Cheekwood. And then usually we have a daffodil show late in March at Cheekwood and Botanic Hall. Of course, those spring meetings and the daffodil show are off this year, though we will have daffodils in the mansion. I believe it is Saturday and Sunday, March I believe it's the 24th, the 27th and the 28th, we'll have daffodils in the mansion at Cheekwood, just as a display. And then we do have a Facebook page and a website. You'll see the website for our group is daffodiltn.org, and that makes it easy because the webpage for the American Daffodil Society is daffodilusa.org. We also do some digs during the summertime that if you're a member of MTDS, you will be invited to attend and dig for free bulbs. And then we also have bagging parties where we bag and label bulbs for the fall bulb swap. A few of the bulb sources that I wanted to mention, these three are in the US, and so you're not spending a lot of money on postage and certificates to get bulbs sent from overseas. Brent and Becky's bulbs.com, and that has nothing to do with me. This is Brent and Becky Heath from Gloucester, Virginia. QDaffs.us. This is a brand new company I am so excited about because they have a lot of different varieties of daffodils and a lot of different miniatures. This is one that I've seen. Some of these miniatures are $1 a piece, and I think they ask you to order a minimum of 5 bulbs, and they may have a minimum order overall, but they're just offering a lot of new varieties that I haven't seen available. And then phsdaffodils.com is a guy who used to be the bulb horticulturist at the St. Louis Botanic Garden, and he's started his own daffodil company now, and so that is his address. And you can find a lot more bulb sources for the U.S. and for overseas, and even for down under. Some of us order daffodils from New Zealand, and daffodilusa.org is where you can find that and lots more information about daffodils. So if you become a member of the American Daffodil Society, you get a quarterly journal and opportunities to join in our conventions and fall forums and all the other resources that the Daffodil Society provides to the public. We have a big educational mission, and so we do a lot of different, offer a lot of different things for the public. So that is the presentation. If anybody had a question, if we have time for that, I'm happy to have any questions.
All right, yeah, if anybody wants to open up their mic, let me check the chat. I didn't see any questions, so I'll go.
One lady said she couldn't see any of the pictures, so I guess she wasn't getting the visuals at all.
I think we got that figured out.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
And it's recorded, so that's good.
Yeah, I think sometimes you get a delay on the internet. So your talking was behind what she was seeing, or, yeah.
Yeah, some people have slow internet service and it can really mess with that.
Yeah.
Becky, going over this, thanks a lot. I had no idea that there was such divisions and that much information. The question that I would have is the resource that you showed us where you can go in and see all the specifics. Does it give you stuff like zone hardiness as well, or do you need to look for that particular award that you said?
It does not tell zone hardiness on there. I think that's just not a known, that isn't something that has been kept track of, but there are going to be very few that are not hardy in Middle Tennessee. Again, like I was saying, some of those Dezettas, they're hardy here. They'll come up every year. They just won't bloom for us. So that's no fun. And then the green daffodils and species are the main ones that would not be hardy. But that Mesa Verde green one, that one is hardy. I've had it for about 5 years in my bed out front, and it is multiplying. So that's really good. Let's see, I saw something in the chat window. Can you plant bulbs now? Well, actually, you usually are starting to look through the catalogs now and order in the summer, order sooner if you really know what you want. You get them earlier, especially these days that people are going so garden crazy, buying plants and everything. People are selling out. Becky's Bulbs had to close down their website for a while last year because they got so behind in orders that they had to close down the website for a while to catch up. But if you have bulbs, plant them now. If you have bulbs you've been holding, yes, plant them now. Excuse me.
Well, I certainly want to thank you for coming and doing this presentation. And I probably will get in touch with you next year and maybe do one on the historic daffodils. I'm really interested in that.
Sure. And if you get a chance to go to a daffodil show, once we start having those again, they're wonderful opportunities to see all these divisions laid out, because that's how the shows are laid out. The historics will be in one area, the miniatures will be in one area. So it's really fun to see the variety and to figure out what you really like about daffodils. Thank y'all for having me.
Thank you for coming.
All right. Yeah, that was a great presentation and I really appreciate it. And just while we're talking about bulbs, something I wanted to mention is, you want to plant spring blooming bulbs in the fall, typically. But if you've gotten them as a present from, like an Easter present or stuff like that, there's you get blooming bulbs and tulips and daffodils and things. Go ahead and plant those now. And also it's not quite time to put out the gladiolus and things like that. You want to let it warm up just a little bit more before you put those out. So just thought I'd throw that in there. All right. Okay, any more questions? I mean, we've got a wow. Love this presentation. Lovely informative presentation. Thank you. Very good presentation. Yep. So kudos to you, Becky. Thanks for being with us. And Roger, you gonna end the meeting?
If there's no other questions or comments, we'll end the meeting, and this has been recorded, and Carla will send out a link so you can go back through it and you can look at the resources. And again, thank you very much, Becky. Very informative.
Yes.
Y'all for having me. Bye-bye.
Bye. Good night, all.